Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about Hunter Biden's closed door visit to the House Judiciary and Oversight committees that are trying to whip up something, anything, out of what looks to be nothing or next to nothing against his father, and that is the real focus. So just recall their star witness is just clear it is the very guy who has just been indicted by none other than David Weiss, who's prosecuting Hunter Biden and presumably not going soft on the administration or part of the deep state. And it looks like the very information that they were pointing to as the most important in the investigation is not only false, but may well have been fed to them eventually through the Federal Bureau of Investigation by Russian intelligence. So in other words, not only false, but actually part of the overall strategy and effort of just messing up the election and putting misinformation in the water that we know the Russian government did so much in 2016. All right. And with the basic collapse of that evidence, the so-called impeachment investigation or inquiry is really flailing. It's got almost nothing to go on. And already the air was out of the tires, and now they seem completely deflated. And, how will Republicans handle it? You might think at this point, with little to go on, they'll say, we looked hard, but nothing there. But it's just would be so contrary to character. The character is just going forward and doing anything, if not to reach an actual vote on articles of impeachment, to just try to keep it alive and continue to make trouble for Biden. All right, that brings us to Hunter and what is or should be the headline. He'll repeat it. He puts it front and center in his opening statement. And he'll be the 10th witness who tells the committee this flatly, which is no involvement by Joe Biden in Hunter Biden's business dealings. No involvement by Joe Biden and Hunter Biden's business dealings. So to the extent this is all about trying to, dredge up accusations that when he was vice president, he was, trying to feather his nest or help. This is Joe Biden, his son, by influence peddling with the Burisma company and that whole mess. It's going to be staunchly denied. And I think they have nothing to contradict it. That really should be the end of it. But of course, they do not want the Republicans, Comer, Jordan, and the like, to have this die on the vine with a whimper. What they've said when their revelations came out that the main source was a lying sack was first, well, the FBI has some explaining to do. Okay, but that doesn't go to who's telling the truth. And there's a wealth of other information, except they haven't shown it at all. So now here comes Hunter. He'll be very firm on this part, which should be the sole focus, but they'll also try however they can to dirty him up as their one way to try to get at his father. Now his conduct that has led to indictments on criminal charges involving tax and guns, that should be off limits. And his lawyer, Abby Lowell, criminal lawyer, will be there to say, we can't talk about that. That's a pending criminal case. Their Fifth Amendment rights won't stop. Some of the more, vicious kind of ultra aggressive Republicans from maybe asking questions to try to get a soundbite out of it, but that they'll parry that. So what will that leave? I think there'll be all kinds of efforts by Republicans to just go after him in some way. His, lucrative artistic career, I think they'll try to imply, I have no information, no idea one way or another, that's sort of ginned up by the Biden name. Of course, I think the George W. Bush post-presidential paintings have a sort of premium built in that their artistic merit wouldn't justify. Same with Winston Churchill. But anyway, that'll be the attempted allegation. And then they'll just try, I think, to dirty him up with bad things he did when under the throes of substance abuse and crack cocaine addiction in the wake of the death of his, by all accounts, and I knew them some. I've seen them. I saw them together, Beau Biden and Hunter Biden. the terrible death of the sort of good son, Beau Biden, and so this irregular behavior occurs after it. There's some indication, I think, when it became clear that Abbe Lowell was going to employ a more aggressive strategy and try to disparage the whole criminal and congressional investigation on Hunter as a witch hunt. I think there was some discomfort in the White House. They've now hit on a slightly different strategy, and we'll see how much they deploy it. But basically, where we go into the lost years, as it were, when he is in the throes of drug addiction, he may sort of play the recovering addict card, and have the Republicans look like bullies without sympathy for substance abuse issues. There may be a sort of calculation in there. We will see. In any event, and importantly, they've been jockeying about whether he would testify behind closed doors, and he said, no, you're going to distort it and distribute snippets, and I don't trust you, based on past conduct by the committees. And so they've struck a deal where he will testify behind closed doors. He was the one who wanted it not behind closed doors. However, no video, so they can't release a little, 8-second snippet that would inevitably occur in a multi-hour investigation where, you look bad or tired or surly or whatever. And they'll release the entire transcript, not just selective stuff, and to the whole public. They've played these games for years of hoarding information or only giving it to Republicans or to friendly sources. So here, Abbe Lowell has made clear that won't be the case. So, that makes it a little precarious for them to really go after him very aggressively. On the other hand, the whole investigation now hangs by a thread. That's all kinds of complications for Mike Johnson. And it seems to me, not be in character for them to get gentle at this point. So I think when we get the transcript, we're going to see, evidence of some very sort of hard-hitting and even unfair or distorted type questions. There'll be a little war of words in the media because both sides will have access to the full transcript. The main thing should be that there will be a staunch denial of Joe Biden himself having done anything untoward vis-a-vis Hunter's business dealings, no sort of, efforts to augment the family brand. By the way, a kind of ironic charge in the first place when the candidate against Biden is, Donald Trump, and when Eric and Don Jr. and others have expressly tried to profit from the Trump brand. But leaving that to the side, there'll be some dicey moments, and I think each side is gambling. Well, Hunter is kind of gambling and that's part of the substance abuse notion that they'll come on too strong because they sort of have to, and the whole thing is hanging by a thread, yet they won't want to cut that thread, but rather try very hard to salvage what looks like a pretty darn weak, inconclusive, and to this point, empty investigation, especially with the complete undermining of the star witness, Alexander Smirnov. So that's the deal. We'll have the transcript in 24 to 36 hours and be able to see exactly the form that things took and whether it got dicey and aggressive, but that's what I anticipate. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.